Ashish, welcome to TRUnblocked.com. Well, I guess we have to start this interview with a significant rebrand of the company.
Yeah,
Just take us through the key reasons for this.
I think if you think about the journey that this company has gone through, and when I say this company, it is the spirits side of Suntory. Suntory Holdings acquired Beam Inc. Exactly 10 years back, 2014. Usually, when acquisitions happen, name changes follow
Yes.
fairly quickly. It is the DNA of Suntory to do everything quite deliberately. Yeah. And that's why when Suntory acquired Beaming, they wanted to take their aspiration was to go global. They were a Japanese company. They wanted to get into the spirit space and build a global company with global brands. Before that journey starts, or they were confident of, let's say, what that culture could look like, what would our brands look like, what our identity is, because we were trying to bring two very disparate cultures together. Japanese culture, we were a Japanese company, and the being American culture. Over the last 10 years, you might have heard the word East meets West
Yes.
a couple of times at least. And we were on our own journey of evaluating what our culture is. The 10-year anniversary gave us a good momentous occasion in that sense to say, okay, today, where we are, we built some really good global brands. It is also the time to leverage the power of One Suntory. So we not just come under the Suntory umbrella, but we also complement it. So that power of Suntory has been recognized because of the whiskeys, what we've done with our brands. So we thought this is the right time. We are more confident of the culture. We know the history, the heritage, the DNA of the organization, and leveraging the power of One Suntory is absolutely opportune. And that's why this decision was taken. And Suntory Global Spirits is an apt name, which talks about not just the fact that we are part of the overall Suntory group, but also we are global in everything that we do. We are a premium drinks company with global brands.
Of course, Suntory Global Spirits is one of the industry's big four. But with the rebranding, there's also been some obvious refocusing.
Yes.
You recently sold Courvoisier to the Campari Group and are now clearly focusing on your priority categories of American whiskey, Japanese spirits, Scotch, tequila, and ready to drink.
Yes.
But do these categories actually provide a clear indication of where you think there is continued growth to be found?
I think so. If you look at, there are two things here. One is continued growth and also being clear of our strengths. We are a company that understands whiskey unlike any other. If you think about the different whiskey styles that we have in our portfolio, we have Japanese whiskeys. On the other end of the spectrum, we do have American, Canadian whiskey, Irish, Scotch, and we also have an Indian whiskey, by the way, which is called Oaksmith. So we do understand different styles of whiskey. We are a company, whiskey company in that sense. So we said, if we have to really grow, creating that sense of focus, that prioritization was absolutely crucial. Now, if you go back to where the category is and how it is evolving as well, single malts has seen sustained growth over the last decade. We have some absolutely fantastic single malt Scotch brands in our portfolio and single malt Japanese brands as well. So we think there is going to be sustained growth in whiskey within single malts, but also the repertoire of consumers is broadening.
Yes.
And the innovation that we are trying to create are also going to curate or cater to that broadening of repertoire. Japanese spirits in itself, if you think about what this brand it's a gin, but it's a Japanese gin, and it has defined the category. I'll give you a data point on Singapore. It's a big door for us. In Singapore, with a single SKU, Roku is the #1 selling gin. Now, that doesn't happen if we have not hit a sweet spot of what the consumer is looking for. So we believe that reprioritizing, focusing our efforts towards what our strength is and what we understand is going to be the best way to tap in the category growth that is already there.
Okay, just developing one part of the previous question. And is there some possibility of a divestment Beam?
At this point in time, I don't think so. As in, we can always speculate. Companies evolve as they go through cycles. We look at opportunities as they come out. We look at opportunities to invest and divest. And those will be an ongoing part of the company. At this point in time, we believe our portfolio is absolutely right for the ambition that we've set for ourselves. We want to be the most admired premium spirits company, as in that's a change from what we've said previously. We could have said the fastest growing. We are going to, the change indicates that we want to do everything at a certain quality. It's not about being the biggest or the fastest growing. Whatever we do, we want to do it with the sense of quality that Suntory stands for.
Okay, let's move on. Now, Tak Ninami, Suntory's president and CEO, recently stated, and I quote, "Now is the right moment to deepen our shared passion and artistry that deliver incredible experiences through our products." What does this mean in real terms for you and the GTR industry?
I think GTR, the question is good because you talked about GTR specifically, and what Tak said, how does it apply to the channel and the market that I manage? I think travel, in a sense, has always been an elevated state of mind for anybody who undertakes it. If you go back hundreds of years, human beings have always wanted to travel. There is always an allure of exploration, etc. So that elevated state of mind means how travelers interact with what they see as they go through airports, as they go through, is different. Hence, their purchase patterns, how they interact, what they do, what they consume changes. When Tak says we are trying to bring intimate or deep experiences for our consumers on the back of our products, I think it starts with quality of the product, because even consumption of a quality product is an experience in itself. Yeah. So for me, in travel retail, first and foremost, getting the portfolio right. Which brands, what kind of SKUs or brand qualities that we have, expressions we have in travel retail, which consumers will or shoppers will say, I want to pick that, and hence I will walk into a store. So having quality products and the right assortment is important. That's number one. But then we don't have to just put them on the shelf and forget about it. Oh, somebody will come and pick it up, or do the usual stuff on. Yes, we will continue to do the traditional promotions, etc. How do we take those brands and bring the brand stories to life? I think that's an area that we want to evolve and continuously get better at.
Well, we'll get into some of your activations later in the interview. Just moving into sort of your general perspective of the industry, do you think that the travel retail landscape is actually changing? I mean, and if not, should it? We all know that how conservative this industry is, and painfully so in some respects. But it generally seems to be change averse in so many ways, with brands rather than the airports or the retailers actually leading the way. I mean, how do you see Suntory Global Spirits in this respect?
There are multiple layers to that question, so I will go back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's overlong.
No, but it is important because let's go back to the first point. That is the consumer and the shopper. Are they changing? Are they evolving? Absolutely. The demographic is changing all the time. And even this week, when we've had conversations with our most trusted partners, I was having a conversation with Ramesh from Dubai Duty Free, and we talked about the consumer is changing. What that means is the younger consumers, if we don't understand them today, in 3, 4, 5 years, the Gen Zs, they will look at the category and say, that does not talk to me anymore. That space does not talk to me. So understanding how they consume media, how their purchase decisions are made, or even decisions to walk into a store or not are made, is important to us today. So at the core of it, consumers are changing. And that has to indicate to us that we need to evolve as well. The offering that is there in the store, or the offering that airports give in terms of experience, has to also evolve. So from that perspective, do I believe the industry has been a bit slow? Yes. We don't use data as well as we should.
No.
And sometimes there is abundance of data. We've just not been
able... It's just not tapped well enough.
Absolutely. We talked about, Ramesh and I in that conversation talked about, he said his organization is brilliant at using the data that they have, and they can think about assortment. Operationally, they are absolutely spot on. What he said they're not good at, and I self-reflection on what we do as a company, we don't understand the consumer intimately enough. The shifting patterns, we look at broad trends and try to make plans based on broad trends. We need to get a level deeper or a couple of levels deeper. So to answer your question, yes, we've been slow on data. We've also been slow on the shopping environment. You think about COVID, everybody talked about, oh, maybe we need to drive convenience. People will not interact with brand ambassadors. These were conversations. What we've learned, as human beings, we like to interact. So brand ambassadors are integral. However, convenience as a tenet remains. Airports are getting busier. Not everybody wants to spend and stand in line. Have we been able to shift the dial on convenience? Absolutely not. Yeah, twin packs, multi packs, grab and go. But still, after you grab it, you are still required to stand in a queue. So the shift is not as dramatic and not at the same pace that I think the consumers and shoppers expect us to do.
And
So,
from your own
yes,
perspective?
from a Suntory Global Spirits perspective, I think that is the biggest shift that we are trying to do. Every time my team and I get together, we are asking the questions of ourselves, are we thinking of this model differently? What we are doing well, we are right in the heart of product innovation. We do a lot of work, as in Suntory there is a word that we use called Gemba. Gemba means understanding our consumer, our customers, our communities, getting to where the action is and really getting deep into those insights. What we are doing really well is product innovation. Now the experience innovation in the store, I think we still have a long way to go.
You want to deliver more theatre, don't you?
Absolutely.
But you're actually shackled because you're not given the amount of space that you really would like to enjoy. And that's because the retailers themselves are shackled by their own contractual arrangement with the airport authority. This is the problem. It's like a domino effect. And the consumer pays the price at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And doesn't get interested or enjoy experiences that they should.
Completely agree. We were talking about in a meeting the triangle. We talk about the Trinity model. The consumer has to be in the center. Currently, that point is somewhere outside. Yeah. So rather than being the focal point of the Trinity model, all the three indices are moving away, and the consumer is
looking at it. He's not in it.
Exactly. If you think about what's transpired over the last 2 or 3 years and which ecosystems are doing better, Qatar duty free, for example, and Qatar airport has been rated one of the best in the world. Why? Because they have brought those two indices together. So the retailer and the airport operator are the same, and hence they are able to move at pace. They are able to add value to a conversation with brands around, let's try and bring a different experience to the consumer and the shopper. Wherever that shift has happened, we are seeing the balance of power shift, and the focus goes to, if the consumer loves what we are giving, then let's keep doing it. I think that should be a good example.
But the Qatar structure is actually not quite standalone, but it's similar to a very few other players. They enjoy a unique situation.
Exactly. And I think...
But it's not replicable elsewhere.
But that should give our industry and us a cue of what should be the focal point. If Qatar is able to do that because of their structure, maybe that structure cannot be replicated everywhere. There are a few places that it could be replicated, as things develop in India, Mumbai. That could be one area. They could really step change things. But what does it tell us? The airport operator and the retailer need to work together closely. Changi Airport Group and Lotte are starting to do that as well, where they're trying to bring their ways of working together. They are trying to constantly engage brands in a dual way. They're super clear on what Lotte's expectations are, but CAG is also clear what their expectations are in terms of experience. So they are not a party that sits on the sidelines expecting a certain amount of profit to be delivered and not worry about the experience. They are quite intimately and deeply involved in whatever is happening on the shop floor. And I think that's why Changi has been able to keep going on the journey of innovation. So I do see some bright spots.
I think another bright spot actually is joint ventures where they can apply, and Airports Paris and La Qatar Travel Retail is a good example of that. And I'd like to, where it can work, I'd like to see it apply in more locations. Because that's a very good example as well.
And once the ball gets rolling, it will start putting the industry on the spotlight. Are we changing fast enough? That question is.
We've got to wait to see the domino effect take place.
Yes.
And I still got a fair
Yes.
time waiting, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a fair time. That's why we are slow. But hopefully, through conversations like these as well, it's a clear indication that there are certain ecosystems which will start moving faster. They will see tremendous growth. Consumers, and there is always a choice. As a traveler, travelers will start choosing locations that make things easy for them.
Absolutely.
They give them more theater experience. That it is a, regardless of how comfortable travel has become or convenient it has become, it is still, there is an element of going through the airport, there is an element of going through your paces. How enjoyable can that be made? And travelers will start choosing those hubs. And if that starts happening, then that domino will start moving faster.